So, is cycling its own worst enemy? Every cyclist will tell you that they'd like to see more people on bikes and they think it's fantastic and it's got all these benefits and they wish more people would do it. But there are several things about cycling that create a barrier to entry. This has come about because I had a guy bring me in his Carrera mountain bike to be fixed, and he told me that he'd taken it to 2 bike shops here in South Wales, and both had told him that the bike was rubbish because it was a Carrera and it wasn't worth fixing. Now the guy only uses it for tow paths and a little bit of XC. It's a Carrera Vulcan, and it's absolutely fit for purpose. There's no reason why that bike couldn't be fixed, and I did fix it for him very, very cheaply. And he's back on the road again, but just through pure snobbery, those shops obviously saw a Carrera branded bike, thought Halfords, thought rubbish, and told him that it wasn't worth fixing. And you know, you've got to think about the person you're speaking to. Obviously there are better bikes out there, but does he need a better bike? You know, it's a bike that he spent a few £100s of his own hard-earned money on. He's owned it for a long time. He's going to have a bit of an emotional attachment to it. Why would you tell him it's rubbish and it can't be fixed? Just take the money and fix the bike. I've said this before about bike shops, I know. But this isn't the only reason why I think cycling could be its own worst enemy. Entry level wise, things have just disappeared. There's like no cheap entry level bikes anymore. Hopefully this is going to change now with the new Shimano 8-speed group set and a few of the other budget brands making components a bit cheaper. So hopefully the proper budget entry level bike is on its way back. But at the moment it's very difficult. It's a difficult and expensive thing to get into on any level. I picked up a magazine. Another thing that made me think this. Picked up a magazine, a cycling magazine, and flicked through it in Tesco the other day, and the cheapest bike in that magazine was £3,000. The most expensive bike in that magazine was £14,000. And you just think, if you're a person thinking of getting into cycling and you pick up this magazine to see what it's all about, you're going to think you need between £3,000 and £14,000 to get into the sport. And then there's helmets in the same magazine that cost £200, and everyone knows you can pick up a good helmet for 30 quid. You know, it's just, there's so many barriers. And then you add to that things like club snobbery. Now we're lucky with cycling clubs here in South Wales. They're quite welcoming and they're quite open to everybody of all levels of riding and all levels of equipment. But I have heard stories from people through my Instagram online from other parts of the country that have said that they've went to one club meeting and it was an awful experience and they were belittled over the quality of their bike. They were left behind, and it all creates this sort of elitist sort of block that stops people. And even with mountain biking to an extent, you know, so much of it's about the kit and the latest this, that and the other, but you can get by. You know, you can get a 26-inch mountain bike will still do basic XC and canal path, which is what most people want to do. You don't have to have a 29er with 160mm travel, and although those bikes are great for, you know, the riders that need them, it just makes it all look so unobtainable and so expensive and so out of reach to people looking to get into the, not even as a sport, just getting into riding a bike. And then you've got the whole tribes thing, like, oh, roadies, the mountain bikers don't like roadies, and roadies don't like this, and nobody likes gravel cyclists, and there's so many rules and tribes and regulations and snobbery, really, that I think cycling sometimes fights against itself. The more people are on bikes, the safer it becomes for everybody. That's why cycling in London is a lot safer these days. It's just by the sheer volume of people that are doing it. Safety in numbers. So cycling needs to sort of take a look at itself, really, make itself more accessible, make itself more welcoming to people coming into it at the budget level, and sort of ease up on the snobbery, because I think really cycling does so much damage to itself sometimes that it's no wonder that, you know, it gets a bit of a bad reputation and people think that cyclists are elitist and entitled and this, that and the other, because you know, you pick up these magazines where you've got to have a £10,000 for your bike, and it does sort of come across as being that way. So yeah, it's time to look at look again at the budget end of things, make it more accessible. If you know somebody that's got a £300 bike, don't discourage them because they've got a £300 bike. That bike will do the job to get them going. The bike in their shed, whatever it is, will do the job to get them going. So I think we need to be more welcoming and more encouraging.